Hello, my friends. So recently, I was recommended a video by YouTube about the psychology of conspiracy theorists. And after watching that, I watched a couple more, and I came to the general idea that what the mainstream academics and news media want you to believe about conspiracy theorists is that they do not believe in these theories on the basis of reasoning or critical thinking or the analysis of evidence or the analysis of the official story. None of that. Conspiracy theorists believe, according to them, in these theories on the basis of psychological traits alone. Whether that be paranoia, whether it be that they can't accept things being so simple, or they can't accept things being so complex, or they want a sense of control over the situation, or whatever it may be. Depending on who you listen to, they give a whole wide range of alleged psychological traits that are meant to explain why people believe in conspiracy theories. Often contradictory psychological traits. And this, I think, it turns out, is the exact inversion of reality. And I'll prove it to you with a clip from one of these talks about the psychology of conspiracy theorists. But I think it's the inversion of reality because they're trying to tell you that it's the conspiracy theorists who believe things on the basis of psychological traits, it's conspiracy theorists who don't evaluate evidence, who don't think critically, who don't come to their own reasoned conclusions about things, but are just believing in things, having faith in these ideas because of some kind of psychological issue. When in fact, it turns out, and it's pretty much admitted in the clip that I'm about to show you, it is the people who have faith in the experts, in the authorities, in the establishment narrative, who are believing things on the basis of a psychological trait, on the basis of faith, and not on the basis of evaluating the evidence on their own, coming to their own critically reasoned conclusions, analyzing anything on their own. It's those people who are doing that. And in this clip, Kasim Kassam, and Kasim Kassam, by the way, I forgot to mention, is basically the expert on telling college intellectual kids to believe in experts. We were learning about him back when I was in philosophy classes. He was a very popular academic philosopher. He's in the field of philosophy of mind, and he is the type of person who theorizes on knowledge and portrays knowledge as being the type of thing that we often have to rely on experts and authorities to obtain. His whole body of work surrounds that kind of an issue. So he's the expert on believing in experts. And he's from all the top spook universities. He's got all the credentials in the world, and he's very popular in academic philosophy circles. So this guy is expressing a notion that is upheld widely within the university system, that in many cases, knowledge can only be obtained through believing in experts, through trusting in authorities, and that this is not a fallacy. This is just a practical fact of reality, that we lack certain expertise. And the best we can do is to have these experts and authorities to provide us with this kind of knowledge. This is just a fact of living in society. So I just wanted to mention that because he's not just some random guy. He is actually expressing something that is widely upheld within the university system, at least in my experience. So basically admits this. And it's funny because the whole video is titled "The Problem of Disappearing Knowledge." And he starts the video by saying that one of the issues of conspiracy theories is that conspiracy theories get us to lose knowledge. He compares it to leaving your house and locking the door as you leave the house, or arming the security system as you leave the house. And then after a little while, someone says to you, "Oh, you didn't arm that security system." And prior to them putting this doubt into your mind, you knew that you armed the security system. But now that this doubt has been inserted into your mind, you no longer know it. So he starts the video by saying, you know certain facts about history, you know certain facts about current events and reality, such as you know the official story of 9/11, you know that that's true. You know the official story of the Holocaust, this is another example he gives, you know that that's true. But the more you listen to conspiracy theories, the more doubt is inserted into your mind. And the less you know about it, that knowledge disappears. And that this is a significant problem. That conspiracy theories cause your knowledge to disappear. But in this clip, he says straight up that when you are confronted with this doubt, when a conspiracy theorist brings up points that cause you to doubt what you thought was knowledge, you may have a hard time responding and rebutting the conspiracy theorist, because most people are not experts. Most people are not authorities. And most people therefore lack the expertise that is required to analyze the evidence and to come to a determination about what the evidence actually says. You are not an engineer, so you can't decide for yourself. You can't analyze the evidence. You can't come to some kind of reasoned conclusion about what happened on 9/11. You're not an engineer. You're not a historian. So you don't know how to analyze historical documents and come to some kind of reasonable determination on what happened during World War II. You're not a historian. So you can't do this analysis on your own. You can't make this evaluation on your own. And therefore, how do you respond? This is a question that he raises in the clip I'm about to show you. Here's the clip.
Right, so in the case of Holocaust denial, you might think, and indeed I do think, that the appropriate response is not to say I'm going to ignore them, but the appropriate response is to actually rebut them by looking at the facts and the evidence. And of course now we run into a real practical problem. And the practical problem is that most of us lack the expertise to really be able to say what the evidence shows. I mean, with regard to 9/11, I'm not a structural engineer, I'm not a physicist, I'm not in a position really to determine what happened that day. In the case of the Holocaust, I'm not a historian. I mean, I don't have the historical knowledge or the skills to defend the official account on the basis of documentary evidence. So there's a kind of problem now. The problem is that on the one hand, it's very easy to lose knowledge by having these theories put to you and not being able to respond to them. And that problem is made worse by the fact that actually most of us don't have the expertise that's required to respond. And of course, that's in many ways what these theories exploit.
So what happened to that knowledge that you were supposed to have? Is that when a conspiracy theorist makes you doubt these official stories, is it really the knowledge that you're losing? Is it really your own knowledge? Or is it faith that you had in these experts? And I think that that's a pretty pernicious trick that Kasim Kassam uses in this presentation is he's trying to say to people, a conspiracy theorist is making you doubt yourself. He's making you lose your knowledge. You don't want to lose your knowledge, do you, Goy? You don't want to doubt yourself. Nobody wants to doubt themselves. You need to have confidence. Don't you want to be confident in yourself? But in fact, that self-confidence, so to speak, that alleged self-confidence, that alleged knowledge, is not really self-confidence. It's not confidence in yourself, and it's not really knowledge. It's confidence and belief and faith in this establishment class, this group of experts and authorities, from academia to the news media to the government, which really are all controlled by the same oligarchy. So it's just this faith, this confidence in the establishment that you're losing. It's not self-confidence that you're losing. It's the faith in the establishment that you're losing. And it's not knowledge that you're losing, but it's the previous faith that you had in this story that was told to you. And most people, in fact, are like this. Most people do believe that they're incapable of coming to their own reasonable determination, their own analysis of the evidence, their own evaluation based on reasoning and evidence. Most people actually believe that they're incapable of that, and they do have faith in the experts. And that is how they come to these conclusions about the world. And in fact, it is the conspiracy theorists who are the ones who have this self-confidence and who have a sense that they're able to understand things for themselves, to evaluate the official story for themselves, to analyze the evidence for themselves. So this idea that the conspiracy theorist is making people doubt themselves is the inverted opposite. It's the complete inversion of the truth. It's the establishment that is trying to make the conspiracy theorists doubt themselves, to lose self-confidence. And it is the normies who believe in this expert class, this authority class, this establishment controlled by the one oligarchy. It is them, the normies, who believe these things based on psychological traits instead of evaluating evidence. And the psychological traits are everything from the fear of being socially ostracized, which is what happens if you have some kind of theory that contradicts the popular theory. So it's this trust in the authorities and the comfort that comes from being on the same side as the powerful people. All kinds of different psychological traits are at play there. And as Kasim Kassam is saying, you are not an expert. You cannot evaluate these things on your own. You have to learn what the experts say and trust them. So I just thought that was interesting. And I think that clip I showed you really is astounding, that some people can watch that, his audience can see that, and think to themselves, that makes sense. I had knowledge, but I did not come to that knowledge. I was just given that knowledge. But it's still knowledge. I don't want to lose my self-confidence. And by that I mean, I don't want to lose my complete faith in the experts. It's the conspiracy theorists who believe things on the basis of a weird psychological faith. They don't evaluate things for themselves. So, yep, that's about all I have to say about that. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching.